it's with the case of furtative pathach. It's only with pathach, where pathach is written kind of between resh and tau right here, as opposed to directly underneath the letter.
Really?
It's written between the two letters.
Oh my. I thought you
Which
always
suggests-
did the last
No.
vowel before the
No.
last consonant.
Erase that from your memory. You can rent the movie, The Cutter, to use the erase memory technology to prevent you from further confusions. There's also a particle hine, which basically has a meaning of behold or look or pay attention in class, pray. First common singular, hineni. See, it also gets the same, very same suffix formatives that we have for nouns, verbs, and so on and so forth. If you learn those, they're pretty frequent. There's only 2 deviations in them, second type and first type, that we've learned so far. And, I mean, you got it halfway done. The word hine, commonly translated behold or look, is basically a statement that points your attention, immediate attention to some direction. Okay, what are the uses of the particle hine in the text? The
Alex,
particle, yes.
I have a question on the last slide.
Yep.
It just says, first common singular and plural, second, there's no feminine
Feminine
plural?
yes, there's not
okay.
one in existence with that particular particle.
Okay.
Huh? I don't know, I guess when too many women get together, they're just not paying attention. Is that true? Is that true from the female perspective?
We don't.
I don't want to be a.
We just don't need more than one.
Oh,
One's
okay.
enough.
You just don't want.
We're so observant.
All right. Well. Okay. Well, that's some. Like 2 women can't get along in the kitchen. I guess they're not paying attention to the husband. That just wants to eat. All right. So the uses of particle hine. It could be used to add emphasis in the first instance. In the second instance, may be used to indicate the immediate presence of someone or something. Look, there's Eric. Or or look, I'm telling you. This is to add emphasis. Look, I'm telling you. Choose today, blessing or curse, obedience to God or disobedience to God. Okay? Something like that. And the third one may be used to introduce a fact or situation upon which a subsequent statement is based. Look, in the laws, it is stated, but I am telling to you that this is how you should do it. Right? See that? Jesus used that a lot when he's preaching. And a sweet word homework assignment.
And there's vocab.
Exercise 13, part 1, 1 through 10.
Where are we?
You can copy the assignment for your own benefit. Make sure you do them all. And you do have to memorize Kal paradigm on page 141 for the word katav, which is to write. And that's what I want you to do, to write it down time after time after time. And make sure you know it.
141?
On page 141. Only for word katav.
Good if we have to
Which
memorize
is-
vocabulary 10, 12, right?
Third one from either left or right. That's the one I want you to memorize.
Which one is this?
Okay, on the quiz there will be 10 vocab words and paradigm. Maybe some extra credit words or numbers.
Oh, numbers.
Yes.
Do you want us to read?
There would be Stas.
would be somewhere right in here. And that's part of the Negev. It's just beautiful desert. So yeah, this isn't obviously the Garden of Eden, but it says that at least there is some red stuff in the area. This is Petra, Jordan, which is also pretty red if you go there. So I have some other pictures. This is the Sea of Galilee. You're standing on Capernaum looking out onto the sea, which we zoom out. Sea of Galilee is in the north, which is right here. We can zoom in. There you go. And so most of the other pictures I'll show today are taken there. So Capernaum is somewhere right in here on the northern side of the Sea of Galilee. And so, as you can see, Sea of Galilee, you can basically take a bike and ride around it in a day if you don't stop along the way at places like Capernaum. And so you can see that, yeah, you can basically see all the way around it. And there's hills on all the sides. I just showed this. You'll see these on all the holy site places. Yeah, you don't smoke, you don't bring guns, which isn't as crazy as it sounds because most of the people are in the army at some point and you're required to carry your weapon at all times if you're on active duty. So you'll see a lot of guns. And you don't want to be dressed in your Daisy Dukes when you try to go to these places because they won't let you go in. So this is also in Capernaum. This is an olive press. And what they would do is they stick the olives in there, and I guess you just push this thing and it like smashes the olives. And somewhere along this, I guess there's a way that there's a little hole that the oil drips out, and you just hold the jar there. But this is the synagogue, and I wanted to. Have any of you been to a synagogue? Actually, while they're worshiping? Okay. Well, this. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. But Capernaum is the place where Jesus gave the bread of life speech, and I guess the black part of that was the actual synagogue that he was teaching in. And then it got destroyed, and then they built the white limestone on top of it. And so I'll show you. There's not a whole lot of it left, but here is kind of the inside. I mean, it was fairly large. Yeah, why don't I draw? So. Synagogues, you'll basically have the congregation be facing this way towards Jerusalem, and then you'd have your men, and then your women would be separate. You don't sit together when you're in a synagogue. And like up in here, you have the place where they keep the scrolls of Torah, and then you'd also come here to read. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But yeah, so this is a synagogue, what's left of it. So basically, yeah, let me step back. So I guess I went to a synagogue once. One of my friends, the guy that I was studying Hebrew with, he actually, as his job, translates the Targumim, which is the Aramaic translations of the Hebrew Bible. And so he found out this congregation that still did like the old days, where they would read the Hebrew and then they'd read a verse there and then they'd read a verse in the Aramaic side by side, because Aramaic was what the people actually spoke. So we went and saw that, and it was very interesting. Basically, you get there like 7:30 in the morning and everyone's chanting psalms. They don't read, they chant. And depending upon what congregation you go to, the congregation we visited was Yemenite, so their chanting sounded, at least to me, very much like you would hear like the Muslims calling people to pray, over the loudspeakers. It sounded kind of like that, except it was in Hebrew. So you get there, and then after everyone's there, they stop chanting psalms, and then they have 7 readings from the Torah each week, and you have different people get up and give the readings. And then so after they read, so you're reading like 5 chapters of the Bible during your meeting. Then I guess after it was done, we went out and had a little break, had a shot of brandy, and came back in and read the readings outside the Torah, which is some of the prophets at the end, which kind of related to the passages in the Torah. So after going through that, I really understood, when Jesus is getting up to speak in the synagogue, and I think it's in Luke 4. Does anyone have a Bible? Where he's basically, it says he gets up and he reads Isaiah 61, which that would have been after those 7 readings. They would have the break, they'd come back and read from the prophets. Isaiah 61 would have been, okay, this is what you're supposed to read today. So he got up and read Isaiah 61. He didn't finish his whole reading. He said, this has been fulfilled in your sight today, and sat down, and the people would have known, okay, this is weird, because he was supposed to read continuing. But I think all of the Christians say that he stopped there because that was the end of what was going to be fulfilled in his first advent. So, yeah, I guess it was kind of neat to go through that, just to get a feel for what it actually means when Jesus gets up in the synagogue. This is just ruins around Capernaum. So it's not really.
Where are these ruins stated?
Well, this is the fishing village that Peter. This is actually a
Spaceship.
yeah. This UFO.
That's quite a job of renovation, right?
This
there.
UFO is actually a church that they decided to build on top of what's supposed to be Peter's house. So.
To avoid destroying the house, but.
Yeah. So this was a